Okay, so like I was saying, I was thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
you've seen a lot in your lifetime. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff happen in our country and around the world. What are some of the things in history that you remember growing up that stand out to you?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question because things have really changed, since I was a little girl. Um, I think the world's a better place, especially our country. A better place now than it was when I was little. I definitely remember segregation. I remember that African American people could not use the same bathrooms as white people. They couldn't use the same drinking fountains. They'd have to walk in the street off the sidewalk if a white person was coming. They couldn't go to the same school. It was just amazing. I lived in a small towns in Wisconsin. So we really, we didn't see this as much because basically there were no African Americans living in that area. But we'd hear about it and we'd learn about it in school. And even as a child, I thought this was just so sad that this could ever happen. And I guess as an adult, I see that as one of the most important changes that we've made in this country. It was not only African American people who were there was prejudice against. It was Mexican people. It was other Hispanics. It was Asian people. It was everybody, and I think that's one of the improvements that I think is just awesome in this country, because you have a different world. There's still some problems, but you have a much different world that you live in that regard than I did. The big accomplishment that I remember, I had just gotten married to Grandpa Trigg. I was probably only 20 years old, and I was over at my mom and dad's house, and we had the first man walk on the moon, Neil Armstrong. And I remember watching it on TV, and when he placed the flag on the moon, that was amazing. I mean, we just couldn't imagine that would happen, and it was just one of the most amazing things of the time. So those are two major things that I saw changes in and saw happen.
That's cool. Do you remember when John Kennedy was assassinated?
I think everybody in this country remembers when John Kennedy was assassinated. He was just an amazing president. I guess he just had so much charisma. Everybody loved his family. Everybody loved him. Everybody trusted him with just about everything. I remember the Cuban crisis. I remember as a young child and my parents talking about the Cuban crisis when he was president. And I remember asking my mom, are we going to die in a war? And my mom said, no. President Kennedy's going to make everything okay. And she just had such belief in him. When he died, actually I was a little older because I was in high school and I asked my mom that. But I was in high school. I was in a study room at the time. And I remember it coming over the loudspeaker that John Kennedy had just been shot. And I mean, we were just all beside ourselves. It was the first time that I'd ever heard of anybody in this country being assassinated. And for someone so loved to be killed was unbelievable.
How about, what kind of music did you like growing up?
Oh, I love dances. I go to school dances all the time. And the girls would dance with girls sometimes because the boys would always be too shy to ask us. And sometimes the boys would ask us to dance for slow dances. But I loved rock and roll. I loved the Beach Boys. I loved Elvis. My brother used to collect 45s, and he had an awesome collection. So I absolutely loved dancing, and I loved rock and roll.
That's cool. Do you remember when the Beatles first came on the scene?
Yes.
So what happened with that?
All the teenage girls loved the Beatles. And I was actually, when the first time I heard about them, I was at the Hive, which was the place that all the kids went in Reedsburg, as a kind of a spot for the teenagers, so we could play pool and all that, ping pong and listen to music. And somebody walked in with a record album and said, I said, have you guys heard of the Beatles? And I thought, what is a Beatle? And it had a big picture of the Beatles on the album. And all my girlfriends and I looked at it, and we thought we had never seen such cute guys in our lives. And we were all totally in love with Paul McCartney. And I remember when they first went on the Ed Sullivan Show, my sister Mary and I, again, were sitting on the floor. Ed Sullivan Show went on, and my sister and I just sat there trembling and just couldn't believe we were watching the Beatles on TV. And my dad, I think, was a little worried. He thought we were going to, like, freak out or something. But the Beatles were huge.
That's cool. All right, I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
So a couple years ago, obviously, you found out, you have cancer. And what are the, that's a scary thing, but what are the things that you've learned about yourself and about faith, and just what's your perspective? Do you feel like it's embittered you at all? Do you feel like, just kind of, what's your take on all of it?
I'm glad you asked that, because I really wanted to bring that up because it's been such an impact in my life. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in September of 2005. I'm still going through treatments for that. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer in, I believe, August of this year. And I've started treatment for that. When I first was diagnosed, the thing that I prayed to God for, I'm so thankful I knew God at that point, because I knew He was right there with me. But I prayed that I wouldn't always be fearful, because I thought fear is going to just, you can't enjoy life, you can't spend time with your family and enjoy things. Fear just robs you of all that. And my prayers were answered. I never lost a night's sleep over my cancer. And actually, I have some fantastic memories. I remember coming out of surgery and being in the hospital, and everybody, A.T. Tom, Marcy, Jen, Kathy, all the grandchildren were in the hospital room. We got a luxury room for some reason. Everybody's hanging out, crawling on my bed. It was actually such a great time and so much love. I remember when I got my brain tumor and Tom coming up with Sam, Livy, and Laura. And instead of just sitting there in the hospital room, we decided to go in the basement and explore the dungeon at the University of Iowa Hospital. And we played soft hockey in the hallways. Watched Animal Planet. My sons have gone to the hospital with me for chemo. My daughter-in-laws have been there. When I went bald, Laura always wanted to wear my wig and asked me where my wig was. So lots of funny, really funny, loving memories with that. And I have no bitterness. I've never asked why me. Why not me? And I know God has a plan for this. I know that He loves me and that He's in control. So it's really nice to have that relationship with God, that I can just let go of the control. It's not always, sometimes I try to take it back, but I have to pray and let God be in control and lead me where He wants to go. And in the meantime, I'm just trying to enjoy life and love my family. But I don't think I could have done that in a million years without God. So I've had some great memories even through cancer.
That's cool. And so I was curious, I was thinking of two things. First of all, are there scriptures in the Bible that you feel like, now that's a scripture that kind of gets me through or pulls me through? Now, I don't know if maybe you don't have them all memorized, but just in general.
Yeah, I might not have them totally memorized, but I think, I have read and reread so many things. Many scriptures that talk about God always being with us. Jesus said, I will be with you forever till the end of time. Forever till the end of time He will be with us. Sometimes I walk into the doctor, I put my hand out and I